Hello everyone and welcome back. In today's session, we will be doing a quick revision for test 1, and in this session we will be discussing the history lesson and approach towards the past. So we'll be discussing all the important things, all the important points that we have come across in this lesson. So first of all, let's talk about historians and archaeologists. Um Basically, one should not get confused. Historians are the people who describe the past, right? They are the people who describe the past, and archaeologists are those who study archaeological objects. Okay, and from where do we get these archaeological objects? From by digging the earth, digging the ground. We extract these archaeologists extract the find out the remains of the past, and they make a study of all these archaeological objects, right? Then moving ahead, the first thing that we learned in the chapter is what exactly is history. So history is the study of the past, right? What do we learn from history? How early humans lived, and how they ate, what they ate, and what they wore, their lifestyle, their way of living, right? So, a thorough study, a complete study of our past is history, right? After that, we discussed why do we study history? What is the importance of studying history? So we study history in order to know our past, isn't it? So we study about the kingdoms, the dynasties, the leaders of our past, and uh, what all happened in the past, how people lived, and how history also guides people to set goals and to tell them not to make the mistakes which the mistakes which have been done earlier. We get to learn from those mistakes, and we must not repeat those mistakes. So it makes us aware of the mistakes of the past, right? What mistakes happened, what mistakes were there which should not be repeated again, right? So basically it gives a complete understanding of the continuous development process, the continuous process of evolution, a continuous process of progress of human beings, right? And we can easily understand the basic nature of the society by studying history. The basic nature of the society, the behavior of the people in the society, right? Then again we came to know about a very important information, that is the Greek historian Herodotus. He is known as the father of history. He gave the term history, the name history has been coined by him. Herodotus, the word history comes from the Greek word historia, which means knowing or learning by inquiry. And who gave the term history? Yes, of course, Herodotus, who was a Greek historian. Further, we talked about the division of the past. So, on the basis of the phases, the historians have divided past into two parts: history and prehistory. So, prehistory is that period of time, that phase when writing was not invented by the humans. So there is no written account, there is no written record, and therefore it has been termed as prehistory, right? And history, as the name indicates, the written records, the written accounts are there, right? So this phase has been termed as history by the historians. Then moving further, we talked about the sources of history, right? That is, sources can be divided into two groups, two categories: the archaeological sources and the literary sources. So as I told you, archaeology, archaeological, archaeologists, what is their work? To dig the remains of the ancient past from under the ground, isn't it? So of course, archaeological remains refer to those objects extracted after excavation, isn't it? So archaeological sources are the direct evidences, and they have a very strong effect on the writing of history. Why? Because these objects are there physically, present. They are actual. We can see them, right? So all the artifacts, the monuments, artifacts such as ornaments, jewelry, different kinds of stone weapons, sculptures, pottery, tools, and all metal objects, these all come under the category of artifacts. Artifacts are the objects of different kinds made by humans in the past, right? And monuments. What are monuments? Old buildings, ruins of old buildings, temples, caves, mosques, all these which were constructed during the ancient time. They are a very strong and a concrete source to understand the past. These are the evidences, very concrete evidences to understand the past, right? Then again, coins, another archaeological source. Coins, through the coins we get a very good and exact information of that particular time. The inscriptions on the coin, they give us a very accurate and exact we can say information about that particular period of time, right? Apart from these inscriptions are written records which were engraved on rocks and metal pillars and copper plates, in cave walls, walls of temples and palaces, on clay tablets, all inscriptions, all written records which were engraved on these things, right? So all these come under the category of archaeological sources. And as the name indicates, literary sources, all written account, right? All written, handwritten, we would say, right? Because during that time there was no printing press and all. Whatever was written, it was all handwritten, isn't it? So handwritten records of the past in the forms of books. What are these called? These are called manuscripts, right? So all these literary sources, all these written records which our ancestors wrote, they are again a very strong, concrete evidence to understand the past, right? Now these literary sources can again be divided into two sections, right? Two types. One, religious literature, and the other is the other one is secular literature. So again, as the name indicates, everything, all written account, all written descriptions related to religion, right? They come under the category of religious literature. And apart from that, everything, all kinds of records, written records, maybe biographies of the kings and great people of the past, or description of places, description of lifestyle of people, all these come under secular literature. Maybe here we can talk about Arth Shastra, written by Kautilya or Chanakya, during which gives a complete detail of the administration during the Mauryan Empire, right? And we can mention about Indica, which was written by the Greek ambassador Megasthenes, right? So all historical accounts and biographies written by poets and foreign travelers, they all come under the category of secular literature. As the name indicates, isn't it? Secular. And religious literature, everything, all written records, all written descriptions related to religion, they have been accumulated, they have been assembled under the name of religious literature. I hope this is clear to all of you. Next, we discussed about the geography of our country, right? So the geography, the natural features of a country, of our country rather, we can say, played a major role in shaping the history. Why? Because right on top in the north are the great Himalayas, isn't it? And they act as a natural barrier for the invaders. But through the passes between the mountains, the invaders came to our country. Then the northern plains have again, here the places are very fertile. The places were very fertile because of the rivers, and therefore cities flourished on the banks of the rivers in the northern plain. Then the Deccan Plateau the Deccan has always been a very strong and powerful military base. So it was difficult to capture the Deccan. And the coastal plains served as, they were very, very important for trading, isn't it? The coastal areas. They connected our country to different sea routes, European sea routes, and therefore trading became easier through these places. So overall we see that our geography, the geography of our country, the geographical features of our country, they also contributed a lot in shaping the history of our country. And finally, we talked about the concept of dates. So let us quickly revise dates. So when we talk about dates in history, basically the time has been divided into two parts, right? And the center, that is 0, has been taken as, the year when Jesus Christ was born, that year has been taken as 0, right? Now all the events which took place before the birth of Christ, that phase, that time period is termed as BCE. That is before Common Era, right? And everything which took place, all the events and incidents which took place after the birth of Christ, that time period, that phase of time is CE. That is Common Era, right? So here we'll go backwards, and of course here we'll go in forward. If we talk about this time period, 500 BCE, that means 500 years before the birth of Christ, right? And if we talk about this time frame, this time phase, it will be this will be after the birth of Christ, right? So I hope, this is taken as 1 CE, and if we represent it on the timeline, this part, that is BCE, here we will go backwards. So 1000 BCE will be seen first on the timeline, and then 500 BCE will be seen on the timeline. Whereas when we talk about CE, that is Common Era, first we will see 500 CE on the timeline, and after that 1000 CE in the timeline, right? So I hope the chapter is very, very clear to everyone. We will soon meet again in the next revision session of for the chapter of geography. Thank you so much.